But what's kind of on the rise? Facebook. Why? People are logged in all day. Every morning when they log in, they're seeing their news feed. If you have people liking you, it's kind of what I like to look at is just like the new version of email. So, every morning people still look at their email, but they're also looking at Facebook these days. And if you show up right there in their news feed, it's one way around this email dilemma. And that's one of the reasons that I place just so much value on this is, a lot of people have built kind of in the past internet fortunes from email marketing. There are people out there that even make $40,000 a month, affiliate marketers, just sending emails to their email list. I see kind of the future of online marketing being more around Facebook as email continues to be challenging. Yes?
Is it a similar concept for Twitter and retweets, or is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another great point. And we'll talk actually a bit about Twitter later, but it's exactly the same thing. So the more Twitter followers you have, the more retweets you can get, the more popular you are on Twitter. All of this stuff will not only help drive you traffic, but will count as citations. So yeah, really good point. What I've seen just from my Facebook advertising is I've been able to drive likes for usually around $1.50 per like, or even less sometimes. What's interesting, if you guys actually just go out and do this, keep an eye on the Facebook reporting. It will actually report how many actions there are, how many likes you got from your campaign. That number actually usually underreports, though. It's usually about half of the actual likes you get. And the reason is Facebook doesn't report when someone clicks like, but then their friends see it and then they kind of jump on the bandwagon. So there's this kind of snowball effect that I've seen when you can get a high-profile Facebook user to click like on your page, and then all their friends like it. That's not counted in the reporting that you'll see. So usually I kind of eyeball it in addition to looking at Facebook's reporting. But really quick win, I would highly recommend it. We're still just in the infancy of Facebook advertising. This is the time when it's still cheap to do this. It's going to get more expensive. And I think users might be more kind of frugal with their likes in the future. Yep?
After you get the traction to your personal Facebook campaign, how can you tie into your company?
Great point. So what you can start doing is really kind of branding your company around your Facebook fan page. And it kind of depends on the persona you want to create for your company. I've seen people like spam it multiple times a day, and I've seen some people like myself that kind of update their wall like every few days. I like to kind of be really careful about not giving the user too much, but giving them just the right amount of content. And what I'll do, just as an example on my blog, is when I add a new post, I will just update my wall and let my Facebook fans know, so they'll see that right in their feed, and then they'll come to my blog. And I've seen actually a really good amount of traffic for this. What's interesting actually is on Facebook right now I have about 450 fans. On Twitter I have 12,000 followers. I post kind of very similar updates to both. I actually get more traffic from Facebook than I do from Twitter. And the reason is the people who are your fans on Facebook, they're really engaged. Whereas Twitter, a lot of people will just follow you just so you follow them back, and everyone has a high number of followers. So, but absolutely, Facebook will drive traffic. By just having a well-built-out fan page, will drive traffic to your site. And ultimately conversions. So another just quick tip you guys might have heard, might have not, really interesting update in the search marketing industry this year is that Yahoo and Microsoft joined forces. This is probably one of the biggest events since Yahoo bought Overture, since Google was invented. It's a really big deal, and the reason is you're going to get a lot more leverage, and you're going to get a lot better technology. In the past, when these two platforms, well, actually they were the same back in '04. Then they split apart. Microsoft went away from Yahoo. They built out their own advertising platform. Now they decided to kind of throw away Yahoo's back end, let Microsoft power everything, and have your ads show up on two places. So basically, you put the ad in one place, which is Microsoft Ad Center, and now your advertisement will show up on the paid landscape for both Yahoo and Microsoft. And what I've found, just as an online marketer, is you can gain a lot of leverage this way because you only have to manage two things now, Google and Microsoft versus three platforms. And you're going to get a lot more scale and efficiency. What's also interesting about this is sometimes you might have seen Google can be very expensive. It's very competitive. It's sometimes tough to launch a new business on Google. There are certain verticals, which I'm not going to lie to you, it's equally saturated on Yahoo, Microsoft. But there are others where for whatever reason, people have kind of ignored Yahoo, Microsoft so far. So you'll see less competition, more opportunity in many cases.
Are there any services or applications that help you manage all these platforms?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
consolidate analytics and such?
Yeah, great question. So there are many platforms, and this is one of my just favorite topics of discussion. A lot of companies just go out there and build their own, like we did that at Nextag and Quinn Street. At some of my other companies, we've done kind of the build versus buy analysis, and these days the tools you can buy are so good, and in many cases very affordable, where it makes sense to buy something. And just some of the names where you're looking at kind of like an enterprise level, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, are like kind of the Marin Softwares of the world, Kenshu. There's a tool called Acquisio, which is purely for kind of reporting and for agencies. When you're looking at kind of mid to smaller size companies, there's a lot of these tools, they operate on a percentage of spend, so they typically want to work with advertisers who are spending more than $100,000 a year, because they're getting a percentage of that and just their overhead and everything. But depending on what level of you're spending, if you're spending like under 100, there are still some really good opportunities out there. I think Click Equations is one of the good ones. There's a tool called WordStream, which is a little bit different than this. It's more kind of on the keyword generation side of things, but very helpful. And I would say Kenshu as well. I know that they have kind of gone after the affiliate marketing crowd with kind of a abbreviated version of their tool that's more geared for affiliates who are spending less than 100 grand. So I definitely check those out, and this stuff helps a lot. One of the things I would say, caution though, kind of on that topic as well, and I always use this technology, but just I would be careful about getting locked into any kind of long-term agreements. And the only reason is Google is innovating so fast that a lot of the stuff they offer these days is almost as good, if not better, than some aspects of the tools. Whereas the bidding engines and kind of the bidding and tracking that is offered through the tools is superior to Google, in my opinion. That's where you really win. So it's kind of a balancing act, but the tools, in my opinion, are really important. Yeah, good question. Cool, so I'm going to keep moving along here. So we kind of touched on this last time, so I'm going to go really quick here. But the key thing is this is kind of a wall from Google's office. 20 to 25% of Google queries have never been searched before. When you actually buy, this is the one reason actually to buy paid traffic on Broadmatch, at least on a small extent. Maybe if it's only a few dollars a day, or just keep it small. You will generate new queries. You can run a report on Google called the Search Query Report. You can see all the queries that users typed. You can see which ones converted. This will actually help you build out organic content, because you can see what's working on a paid aspect, bring it over and build out organic content around it. So, cool. Just kind of moving along here, SEO. So, last time we talked a lot about just SEO basics. This time, a lot of it is more kind of off-page versus on-page, because we talked a lot about on-page SEO last time. And what I wanted to talk about first is just blogs. We talked about Google Caffeine quite a bit, or a little bit earlier. And as I mentioned, Google Caffeine really enjoys and wants to see fresh content. How are you going to get fresh content to your users in a scalable manner? One easy way to do that is blogs. So I would recommend, if you're launching any kind of web business, just piggyback some kind of blog on there, ideally on the same domain, maybe as a subdomain or as a folder of your root website, and try to update that at least once a week. Because if you do have a blog that's kind of getting out of date, it won't really help you. But if you are updating it regularly, this is something that will continue to help you in Google. And as the future goes on, and Google kind of separates more and more towards fresh content versus static content, and Yahoo, Microsoft are doing this too. It's going to be important to have fresh content. There are also other ways to do this. You don't necessarily need a blog. Even if you just have kind of a static website that's built out, at least if you update it very frequently with new content.